Hello. Today we're going to talk about milkweed and more broadly other plants that are beneficial for pollinators and monarchs specifically, and other pollinators as well. So this time of year is a really cool time to collect milkweed. You can see in the background here we have all these milkweeds, and throughout the year they will produce pods. They'll be green, but they'll be, sorry if it's out of focus, but they'll be green and kind of like this, and then they will open and have this fluff and then these little brown seeds in there. And so the fluff helps carry the seeds away to be planted elsewhere, and helps distribute the plant. And the one cool thing about milkweed, among others, is that it is a very important food for the monarch butterfly. I'm sure other butterflies or other plants or other insects benefit from it, but it's known to be a really important food source for the monarch butterfly. There's been a lot of coverage because the monarch has been endangered in the past many years, and it's been declining. And so there's been a push to not spray pesticides, not mow down milkweed. It's a plant that wants to grow itself. It's a native in a lot of areas. There's a few different species of it depending on your area. But right now it is just so abundant. It's everywhere. So I encourage you that if you don't already have it on your land, that you go look for it. It's going to be in moist areas, along ditches, along rivers. You'll see the little white fluff, from a ways away. This time of year, the pods are fully open, and it's dropping its seed. So it's a really perfect time to not only collect it, but also to rebroadcast it. So normally it's going to fall right near the plant, maybe 100 feet away if it blows really well, or a little further. But we as humans, we can add to the dispersion of plants. So plants make thousands of seeds and a small amount live. So as humans, we can increase the amount of plants that survive from the dispersion of seed, as well as increase its ability to travel over long distances. Now obviously there can be some concerns with that, with non-native plants, but if we're considerate about that, and we do a little bit of research about things, obviously you don't want to spread this on other people's land that don't want it, because then you're just creating more work for people, and you're potentially increasing the pesticides or the herbicides that are being sprayed, if you're creating that kind of environment. So that aside, increasing the amount and the territory of pollinator plants is of great value to the whole ecosystem and to endangered species, specifically the monarch butterfly. So I see a particular one that's a really good example here. So I apologize if it's out of focus. Hopefully it'll focus for us. But I'll zoom in if it's out of focus, sorry. But it's just a really cool how it kind of has these little clusters. And there's all the seeds, and they'll fall off. They'll come off the little fluff, and then you can just store them like that. You want to, put them in a mesh bag or in an open bowl, somewhere where they can get plenty of ventilation and dry area to cure, if you're not going to just broadcast them immediately. If you are going to plant them, somewhere where there is a little bit of disturbed ground would be good. Getting them in contact with the soil is ideal, rather than just like throwing them into some grass or something. If you can get them down into the soil a little more, then they're gonna have a better chance. But that said, if you can collect a lot, you can go, spread it and just, take your chances. So that's milkweed. And then I haven't heard a lot about whether the monarchs eat dill. People say they only eat milkweed, and I don't think that's true. But because I see them on dill, I don't know if that'll be out of focus, but there's the dill seed. That flower is a really nice white flower, which is wonderful for pollinators in general. But commonly, the caterpillar stage of the monarch butterfly is found on this dill. It's a great herb, great pollinator plant. The stems are really good in salads, obviously for pickles, and this is a very vigorous plant, dill, and the seeds are ready. They've been ready a little while. If they're fully dry, then the frost doesn't really bother them. If they're moist when the frost comes, that can damage the seed. So, a lot of plants, obviously, if they can survive on their own, disperse the seed, they have the ability to go through frost and the seed still be viable. So just because you've had frost that's killed your plants out in the garden, there's still a possibility that there's a lot of seed in your garden or around your garden or in wild areas where you live that you can go out and collect still, even though we're approaching a more wintry time. So another example, just some stuff I gathered as I was preparing for this. This is called blanket flower, or Gaillardia. It's got really cool yellow and red flowers, and then the seeds form like that. This one, the seeds, the flowers are still flowering. The seeds maybe not quite mature. It looks like it's not really harmed by the frost. It looks like it would have still survived. So that's a really fun one, blanket flower. This other one is called horehound. It's a really good medicinal plant. That's the leaf, and then that's the seed. And excuse me if it's out of focus, but just want to get it up close if it's possible. And then honeybees and other bees just really love this borage. It looks a little like borage. It's called the horehound. The leaves are really bitter, and it creates kind of a lot of saliva and just like moves congestion out of the system. It's really good for throats, any kind of congestion. Just really kind of gets your saliva and nasal passages opened up and flowing, and also is an incredible pollinator plant. And the seeds, even though it's frosted, there's still seeds that you can crumble in there. Yeah, there's plenty of little seeds in there. Quite a lot, really, in just one little head you could have 100 seeds come out, and you could excuse me, it's a little bitter. You could regrow a huge patch from that. Now that said, these little seed heads are a little bit Velcro-y. They'll stick to some different types of clothing and stuff, and you'll carry them around. So I'd suggest creating a patch a little ways away from where you might be walking or where animals might be coming in and out of your house. Ours is right, I have a patch right out in front of my door, and it's rarely a problem. So it's not, I'm not saying you can't have it by your door, but occasionally I'll, a shirt or something will gather a little clump of seeds and they come into the building with me. And then another one is clary sage. It's mostly dropped, but there's a little bit of seed in here. I don't know, it's just another fun example because it's a perennial. The leaves kind of look like that. They're a little rosette spread out of leaves like that. And then the seed heads look like this. It's dropped most of its seed, but I figure we're talking about pollinators. So that's a really good one, clary sage. And yeah, it looks like most of the seeds dropped already, but just something to consider. And then the last one I'll talk about is carrot. People most commonly know carrot as a root. They can be commonly they're orange, but they can be purple, they can be white, and they can have some variations of colors in between there. But this is carrot seed. So you can see that possibly. Sorry if it's out of focus again. We're just trying this out. Try to get the best. And this has beautiful white flowers earlier in the year, and they're tiny flowers. So, and they're very wide open. So pretty much any pollinator can fly onto the carrot flower and get pollen. So they're always covered with a multitude of very small solitary bees, the native bees and honeybees, and various different pollinators. And this is in this category because it's what you call a biennial. So it's a cold weather crop that can handle cold. And carrots, the first year they produce a root on the bottom, and then the second year, after it's been through the winter, it sends up a flowering stalk, and then it creates the white flowers, and then you get this really amazing seed. So if you can let some of your carrots flower, then this is from one carrot, and there is really so much seed on here. And you would just delicately rub it off, and then blow it with a fan to clean it up, and then dry it properly before storing it. The one caveat, each plant's individual, is that if you have the wild carrot, which is called Queen Anne's lace, and it's got a flower that looks pretty much identical to a carrot flower, white. If you have that in your area, your carrots are fine as a pollinator, the flowers and everything, and there's no problem with growing roots of carrots from seed that you buy. But if you produce your own seed in an area where there is Queen Anne's lace, then you can cross-pollinate your carrots with the wild relative, which creates carrots that can have a toxicity to them. So that's a concern. That's one reason why education about seed saving is important in certain situations. Now, carrots kind of a little more challenging because it takes 2 years to do. So by the time you're considering growing carrot seed, usually you already kind of know whether, yeah, you're a little more educated about the benefits and drawbacks of crosses, and whether you have wild crop relatives in your area that could cross-pollinate. So once again, you know, primarily I wanted to show you the milkweed, this wonderful fluffy seed that the Monarchs really love, and then the horehound, just a really good medicinal and pollinator plant, and the gaillardia blanket flower, just gorgeous and pollinator and very drought tolerant as well, durable plant. And then clary sage, another pollinator and quite drought tolerant once established. And then the carrot, you know, so hopefully this gives you some more information on growing more cold hardy pollinator plants that can serve medicinal purposes, as well as create a habitat and forage for pollinators that will pollinate your other vegetables, such as, you know, squash and cucumbers and corn and various different things that will be more abundant if you have some of these other plant you know, forage plants for the pollinators around your garden or interspersed within your garden. Anytime you have flowers in the vicinity, insects are coming to visit that area regularly. And then when your squash open, the first day they open, if there's, you know, a carrot flower next to it, then the first day that your squashes start to open, they might be pollinated that day. Whereas if all you had growing was squash, you know, it might take a little while, even a week or so, before the bees are going to find your crop, because they're going to be going where the pollen is. And you know, that first day that the pollen is available in your crop, in your squash or your cucumbers, it's going to take them a little bit to catch on. Whereas if there's flowers right around it, they're already going to be there visiting, and they'll go, oh, well, you know, they'll be able to see it really quickly and tend to the pollination pretty much immediately. So some of these crops, most of these crops are available on our website, Vibrant Earth Seeds, and all of them are available in the wild or in your friend's or own garden for you to go gather right now. So, you know, we do all our own germination testing and make sure it's high quality seed, but there's nothing stopping you from going and looking for it yourself. So keep seed saving, and thanks for joining us here on the farm to learn a little more. Happy to share. And one other caveat, this is for educational purposes only and cannot be distributed in any form without our consent. Thank you so much.